Well, what's the crack, everybody? And welcome to episode 165 of Buckshot for Friday, the 4th of December. Or if you're a Patreon, of course, you will be listening to this whenever the fuck I put it out. Most likely be much earlier than that because we're recording good and early in the week. So you'll probably have it on the Wednesday, which was the 2nd, I think it is. And you'll also have the video. Evidence will be up there. It'll be on the Patreon page. It's for nobody else but the Patreons because you got to give those people, you got to wet their beak. You got to wet their beak ever so slightly. Also, thank you very much to the merch purchasing people. Christmas must be, I don't know whether you finished Amazon. You finished the game of Amazon now and you've ended up on my merch page and now you're buying things with my face on it. Although, no, in fairness to you, you have a bit more credibility. You're actually just buying the logo and stuff for cups. And somebody bought a cushion. Again, you know the crack. Send me on a picture. Follow me on all the usual platforms. Tom O'Mahony Comedy will find it pretty much everywhere. Or Buckshot Podcast. Or if you want to send me something in long form, if you want to have a good old natter or whatever, do buckshotpodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, you know it's all there. And if you don't fancy any of those kind of things, you just want to go, listen, having the pot to piss in, Tom, can't sort you out this side of Christmas. Do us a favor and rate it if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, because about 75% of this is listened on Apple Podcasts. Put in a rating. The lovely Gaz wrote an unbelievable one the other day. There will be a competition for the best review, the funniest, best fun review, and you will get a t-shirt this side of Christmas. Well, I'll definitely call a winner this side of Christmas, and you will get it out to you. Hope you I don't pick some who are living in New Zealand or whatever, but it doesn't matter. You'll still get it, the best one, regardless. As well as that, if like that, you're not listening to Apple Podcasts, just roll it on up and give it to your mother. Tell her about it. Just tell everybody about the podcast. And that's about all I have to say for the housekeeping. Moving on to today's guest, returning, a very good friend of mine, powerful man, hasn't taken his foot off the pedal through this whole thing, keeping the nation's spirits alive, albeit the children's heads together. Son of the knife himself, John Sharpson, brother, how you doing?
Mac an Skeen or Mac an Gar. How are you? Good to see you.
You too, man. This is fun. You're always a happy person. You put me in good.
Thrilled to life. Yeah, enjoy life. But having said that, I should give you warning, right? When you were giving the intro there, I was going because I'm not long after a nap. I love napping, right? So,
you're always a great man for the naps. You're still keeping them up. You are
absolutely as much as possible. It's just like I literally like, oh, cool. I'm going to turn on the telly and just go. I wake up 40 minutes later going, geez, I just lost 40 minutes.
Oh, you didn't. You gained 40 minutes, John. There's
exactly.
ever, for as long as you can, keep napping. Because
absolutely,
your days are numbered. I'm telling you, like you don't realize it, but your days of being able to just drop off the grid and not have to attend to things. Them days are numbered.
Spoken as a man who's just had a baby, 100%.
Yeah.
That's a man right there who misses napping now.
Yeah. Oh, I honestly though, even before the young Florette, I hadn't napped. I hadn't been in a napping mind frame even. I'm in a nappy mind frame now, all right. Like, but hey, like I fucking loved napping when I was napping. I was a Jedi master of napping. Like literally, I go, all right, I could just 10 seconds. Took me about a week's training.
When's the last time you had a nap now?
It's probably about 7 weeks ago. And prior to that, it was months. Yeah.
That surprises me now because you'd be like myself. You'd be kind of go, and then crash. You'd imagine.
Yeah. No, I am. And it was literally, I was bursting out a heap of work. And even herself, it was a Sunday. Herself was looking at me going, what's wrong with you? And I couldn't form sentences. My brain and everything was going, I think the forbidden liberty is the kiddle. She's like, okay, yes. Either you're speaking in an African tongue or you need to lie down for 20 minutes or half an hour. And it did.
Oh my God. I'm actually so relieved that you said that because my brain has been farting constantly where I just turn around to someone and go, and they're like, excuse me. And I'm like, I asked you what time it was. It's like in betweeners when he's in the car going, You're like, what did you say? He's like, how far away are we now? No, you didn't. You said, I was like, that's happening to me. So hearing that it happens to other people is actually, it's a huge relief because I thought I was losing my marbles. Like,
not at all. No. And I've realized that because other people can stay at, maybe 1800 revs throughout the day. Whereas my brain is bouncing off the limiter, just going, yeah. And I know for a fact yours is like, because I've seen you. I've seen your family home. It's a fucking madhouse. Like there's
Nuts.
the front door and back door are wide open. There's just people wandering through, picking up a sandwich and wandering out the back.
It's like that at the minute as well. They're getting the kitchen done up, and there's like the fridge is out in the back garden, and my dad's walking out in the mornings having a bit of a scratch, taking the eggs out of it. It's just the usual. Like it's great.
How did your place calm down? Because the day I was there, like obviously lockdown must have been, even your physical house mustn't have known what was up, because the day I was there was about 40 people wandering around having the crack. It was like a very calm house party, and you were like, oh, it's like this all the time. There's at least
true, yeah. So that's my family home. Like that's where my parents lived. That's where we used to record roof and stuff. Since then, I've moved out. So I'm living. And you would think that it's gotten calmer, but I'm living with 5 lads that I went to college with, and one of the lads' fiance, God love her. So there's 6 of us in the gap. Sorry, there's 4 lads, and then Richie's fiance. So Anne and the 5 of us, like it's insane.
Poor Anne. Poor old Anne.
Poor Anne. Now, and in fairness to her, like she gets the most grief in the whole house. But like the floor fell down right in the kitchen. So we had yeah, like literally one of the lads walked in, was standing at the sink chatting away, and just went and fell about 2 foot down, like because and then the oven broke the other day. I was having my cereal and there was drips coming from the rear. You know the Hardy Bucks gaff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Except it's in Dublin and there's more of us in it.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it's the best crack ever. It's deadly. Like
when I moved to Dublin first, that's exactly the house I moved into. It was in it was an Inchicore, and I swear to God, every day there was like, oh well, the sewage is flowing into the back of the kitchen. You'll have that, you know. Every fucking day, like, and your man, like the landlord, lovely fella, worth a fortune, at about 70 houses around Dublin. I was just going, well, sure, look, it's putting out fires, lads, isn't it? And rather and I used to point things out and go, listen, this is going to happen. That rad is hanging off the wall. We'll worry about it when it happens. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Like the latest one there, about 6 months ago, I came in and one of the lads was out the back. I said, what's going on? He was like, the oil tank is leaking. I said, how the hell does that happen? There's a little hole in the oil tank. So there's a trickle of oil just spilling out into the, like, environmental disaster, right? So he was like, run over to the shops, we need 6 packets of blue tack. I was like, okay. So we went over. Not a chance the blue tack was, it slowed the flow a little bit. So that was grand. I was kind of like, okay, we organised a system where the oil was trickling into this basin. We were able to keep the rain out, put it back in and keep using it. But you had to do it every day, otherwise you're up to your ankles in oil, right? And then when I was hungover, right, I was in the fair, and I thought, if someone's walking down that lane beside the house, takes a fag and flicks it over, are we goosed? Is that it? Like, and I was thinking, I'd rather not find out if the oil is man, but we just need to get this fixed, essentially. So it's fixed now, which is a huge load off because we were taking it insurance to keep the system going.
How long do you reckon that was happening? That was going?
At least 4 weeks.
Like, I used to do insurance claims before going out to people's houses to assess. Mostly, it was always property, like, buildings.
Yeah.
I have never gone to one with an oil tank leak that didn't take 6 months to fully repair, rehouse everybody in the house, and I've never done one that was under 50,000 euros worth of damage. Because that oil that you were seeing hitting the ground, it will get under the ground, it'll hit the water table, and it'll flow underneath, hit the foundations, seep up through the foundations into the subfloor, and all the ground floor of the house will probably have to be dug out. And all the soil, if it was going that long, and all the soil has to be sent to Germany to be decontaminated. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, sure, look, we'll be out of the gaff in a while anyway.
It's just that there's that and there's blue tack. I love that.
And I was over in the shops. I was like, can I get these blue tack, please? Bought them. We went home, tried our best. Obviously didn't work. And he goes, run back over, get 3 more packets, will you? So I went over. And your mum was like, doing a bit of arts and crafts over there. I was like, you wouldn't believe what we're trying to do with this blue tack if I told you. But look, it's fixed now.
Got a load of posters to put up. I love posters. Yeah.
Yeah, I just bleeding love Eminem. And I just wanted to spend the
Who was on your wall growing up? Who would you have on the wall? I can only imagine, because you have an eclectic head. Like, you're into hurling, and you're you teach. You're a teacher, so who was on your wall?
Not only, yeah, I had posters all over my room, but like they didn't come down till I was 20. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was so like my little brother's friends were in one day, and the PlayStation was up in my room because anyway. So they were up there, and he was like, John's room looks like a cool 13-year-old room, but like his 21st is next week. I was like, yeah, it's probably high time I took down these Ole Gunnar Solskjaer posters off my wall, kind of thing. Like
Probably collector's fucking items by the time you were done with them.
they're probably bleeding where, yeah. I would love to know where they are now. Dennis Irwin, I had Dennis Irwin on the wall a lot.
Like, I was only as I physically said it. We were physically recording this. It is physically November, but I just said like the 4th of December. How weird! I know I hate the phrase. Emma Dornan did a great sketch on it. It's mad, isn't it? But it's weird. How
weird out here.
We've all been in the penalty or in the sin bin for 9 months, and then they go, "Oh, now it's Christmas."
Yeah, it's grand. And we're like, "Is it? Is it?" It's been absolutely nuts. This year is just crazy, and it's. I think it's going to be one of those things, Tom, that in a year or two, when touch wood, fingers crossed, things gone, everybody's just going to go, that was bleeding mad. Do you remember? Like at the minute, everybody's just getting through it and doing what they can to get through it, and it's kind of you just trucking on and you keep doing what you can.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be hindsight. It's going to be when people go, Jesus, wet. Can you believe we did that? Like for 9 months, unbelievable.
I know I'll be standing there with a mullet going, I don't know what happened.
You'll be standing there going, was there a thing?
Was there a thing? Yeah. Instead, I know people go, how's lockdown been for you? I just point at my hair and my mustache and go, well, do we need to?
You're like, I'm making it work. I just need my camera.
Well, you've been busy through this whole thing, though. You've been, because I know you were obviously doing the Try channel and stuff like that. And obviously you're a moon tour, which you talked about on the first episode you were on with me. And then how did they, because you were always keeping a hand in your Gaeilgeoir and whatnot, how did the homeschool hub then end up happening?
So I was meant to go back teaching full-time in September.
Right.
And I sat down with the principal and I said, you know what, I'm making a bit of headway with RT Junior. I'm getting a few gigs presenting and, roving reporter and stuff like that. So I'm going to politely resign the post. Thanks for everything. It's been great. And he was so sound about it. He was just like, wow, like, number one, I'm surprised that you're not coming back to us. But, if you're going to go for it, absolutely go for it and have no regrets and stuff like that. So he was very sound about it. And he was just like, and look, there's always subbing and stuff. So if you've got a day or two, please do give me a call because chances are we will need you. I was like, great, no problem. And then the bleeding apocalypse happened just as I was after resigning my permanent pensionable job. Like, I was just like, oh, God. I was like, in typical Sharpson fashion, you've made a terrible, terrible mistake here. So I was everybody was still this was at the stage where people were fighting over toilet paper in the supermarkets and no one knew what it was.
Yeah.
We were getting all these videos from China of people just dropping dead on the street and we thought that was COVID and stuff like that. So I got a phone call then of Suzanne Kelly, who's the head of young people's in RTE. And she said, John, we're thinking of doing a school through telly kind of thing. So I said, okay. And she was like, do you think we'll be able to do it? And I said, highly unlikely, but I'd be very interested because I knew there wasn't going to be any work coming in.
Yeah.
And she knew that I was a primary school teacher. I had a primary degree. So she was just like, yeah, we've got Ray Cudahy as well. He's obviously just qualified as a teacher. I was like, Ray, are you legend, fair play. So myself, Ray, and then Cian and Keeson started this. We got the call on the Saturday and the first episode went out on the Wednesday.
Stop.
So, yeah. So it was like, get a location. What are you going to plan? Like, what age group are you going to target it at? Can you do lesson plans? I haven't done a lesson plan in about 10 years because you don't need to when you're qualified. It's only when you're doing the WSE and stuff like this. Hadn't done one in ages. And then literally it was like boom, 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 go. Typically you're tightening these, sending off to Limerick, the head of education down there, the Dean, Emer Ring, legend. She'd sign off, she'd give it a thumbs up or thumbs down saying, yeah, that's in line with the curriculum, go for it. Then you type out your script for the whole thing, about 1,500 words. So then when we started and our director, Eve, was just like, okay, John, in your own time, go. I was standing there going, what am I doing here? Like, I was like, hello. Well, here we are. And it's silent. So you've got 3 remote cameras and there's no one else even in the room with you because they're being COVID friendly. So you're standing there and you're like, it's great to be here. And all you can hear is of the crickets. Like, you're just like, Like it was nuts. And then when we started seeing the reviews and parents were like, guys, it's working because their kids are in front of the telly. And you forget, like, parents have to work from home as well. And then the schools were saying, also you have to home teach. And they're like, we're not teachers. We're only learning how to work from home with our app and, with our Zoom calls here. And we have to teach our kids. So it just became a load off for everybody. And touch wood, thank God it was well received and they loved it.
That was class. Jesus, that was class. Because I knew you were doing the present. That had stepped up a fair bit. Like, how, like,
it was going well, yeah.
Yeah, how, like, is it, do you have to nearly elbow your way, or do you have to paint it out in front of them and go, look, this is what I need to do? Like, are they seem to be really good on the kids' production of stuff, don't they, RT? Like, is it you pushing it the whole time going, I think we should be doing this? Because the other day I saw you bouncing onto the whatchamacallit, the Jeannie Johnson. I was like, oh, there's right. John. There's John bouncing onto, and in my head I went, what did John say? I want to go down and swash my buckles on the Jeannie Johnson. And they go, great idea, John. Who's coming to you with the ideas and the roving reporter ideas? Or is it you?
It's a bit of both. So, sorry, for the homeschool hub, it was like coming up with, like, everything was just us. And then they might say, do you know what might be cool, actually? You said in that lesson that you talked about Rome. What about like a green screen lesson with Rome, and we can put you in the Coliseum and stuff like that? I was like, oh yeah, then. So you just kind of bounce things off each other. The Jeannie Johnson was their idea. They were just like, I think if you did out and about, it'd actually be very cool. Would you be willing to do that? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, so I went down and met the lads. We've got an episode in the Emigration Museum coming up as well. And they're great because you're getting out and about and seeing things that you haven't been outside. It's literally studio, home. There's no training. There's no work. There's no socialising with your mates. There's no pub at the week. There's none of that. Like, so being able to go to work in town and just see Dublin relatively empty and stuff, I love doing those out and about. But that was actually their idea. So there's a lot of bouncing ideas off each other. Or if I was saying to Ray, like, I might knock into him, and obviously Ray's also this, but I'd be like, Ray, how would you teach music with, like, making things at home? He was just like, there was a band that did a great song that back in the 80s, you should play a bit of that and then say, we're going to emulate that, and then say what? I was like, that's a great. So there's constantly that crossover and meeting of minds and banging ideas.
I love that though. I love that.
I love it as well. It's
so often you'd be just left out to dry and go, well, do a thing. And then you're back and forth, like, thumbs up, thumbs down over an email. You're kind of going, you're not getting what I'm saying. But that's great that, like, that's the way it should be done, isn't it? Like, where there's actually, where you can stick your head in and go, here, what'll work here?
100%. Yeah. Or even if one of them would say, lads, I'm doing this for an idea, what do you think? And then, Clean might be like, oh, there was a guy that did something like that 2 years ago, check out his stuff, it's hilarious. And then Ray would watch that video and be like, that's a great idea, now it's a lesson. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of just developing this tiny little idea that you have where it's like ancient Rome, and you go, okay, how am I going to do this? Well, I'll wear a toga, that's hilarious. Actually, I've got a sword. Actually, Ray, you were saying that you have a wreath at home. Now we have a green screen, and it just grows and grows and grows. And all of a sudden, and you kind of feel like it's your baby because you're writing your own script as well.
That's like, because I was wondering, because obviously I wasn't watching the homeschool hub, but every day you're putting up a picture and you're dressed as a pirate or Sherlock Holmes or something's gone, I don't know what he's doing, but I'd love to give it a crack.
And exactly, yeah. And I'm on the other end of the phone dressed as Sherlock Holmes going, I don't know what I'm doing.
Because people were saying, yeah, I gotcha. Because people were saying that the homeschooling was a tough thing. Geez, it really did dig people out. Did other countries do it? Like, did the BBC do something similar?
I can't remember if England got on because they were very late to close schools.
Yeah.
As I remember. But I remember we got emails from Nevada because they wanted to model what we were doing. And like, initially there was a lot of emails saying, how are they actually doing this though? Are they just going off their own back? Is it in line with curriculum? Is it working? Like, where did you come up with it? And then, the production company were writing back saying, guys, we literally just went for it. We had 4 days to do it, and we just went for it to see what would happen. And they were like, okay, cool. And I don't know what the end product there was. I don't know did the states get on board with the homeschooling and stuff like that. I think England did eventually, but they were very late to close the schools, so that's why I don't know how it worked either.
Do you think it'd be a thing that would it'll continue at a certain level? That kind of way, like, I'm not saying that people more a whole swathe of parents are going to start homeschooling, keeping kids at home or whatever, but if there was, I think it'd be it'd be class top, like even for primary school, kids could fuck off and not do 4 days a week, but 1 day with the homeschool hub, like, you know what I mean? Because and have a bit more crack, because they're never going to get a green screen working. You're never going to be be in the Coliseum. No primary school teacher, no matter how good they are going to be able to recreate the Coliseum in a live classroom form. I wonder,
exactly.
Going forward, could it be something that I think it could be
Australia,
still applicable?
There's kids in the bush over in Australia, and they're so far away from schools that they have to do that remote learning where they all sign it. So basically what everybody else has been doing, when the schools closed and stuff, and there was a lot of schools doing Zoom classes.
Yeah.
And then some other was just said, right, this is your work for the day. 10 o'clock, cool a Cahnnel school, get the Gaeilge in. Then you do Joe Wicks for a half an hour. Then you've got the homeschool hub, and that's enough. So like over in Australia, they do that remote learning and stuff like that. But I don't know, would you be able to tick all the boxes? Because our whole thing was, look, guys, we're not saying that this is school and this is all they need. This is just a taster that'll make them feel like they're doing something and they are putting their minds to work. Do you know what I mean? But we're not actually I don't think you could say, okay, the homeschool hub covered school and that was grand, because you know what I mean? There's not enough hours in the day, because if you're in sixth class, you're doing 6.5 hours. Third class, you're doing 6.5 hours. First class, you're doing 6.5 hours. So combined, we're just falling short. We're giving 15 minutes a lesson a day. Like.
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'd never tick all the boxes of the curriculum. I don't think anyway.
Still though, there has to be something in it. Like, it's not to be cast away on it, because you definitely developed something. So there could be a specialized subject, we'll say, like that, like Roman history or whatever, or Irish history. I think you may have opened up a box of stuff there that it should be packed away as soon as this fucking vaccine apparently is going to arrive.
Fingers crossed. Like, what they did was then with the after school hub, which is on now, they were like, okay, because there was a lot of people tweeting saying, this is actually a great show. I actually would watch this and my kids love it. So we went from doing the homeschool hub during school hours to the after school hub, which is on now Monday to Friday. So it's because they're back in school. Do you know what I mean? So we were able to kind of loosen the reins a little bit and say, okay, like Moonto already did a lesson on Tin Lizzie, just because he's just like, Tin Lizzie's cool. I love Tin Lizzie, so now we're going to learn about Tin Lizzie, and it's not necessarily in line with the curriculum, but you can have a bit of crap with it, and they're learning something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I can see it. All right. Did
comedy ever? This is just while I have you. Did comedy ever go on to Zoom and try and play that game?
Yeah. It doesn't work.
Does not.
No. Stand up, sure as shit doesn't. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. We did a couple of formats. Like there was one where you had a little 10-minute segment or whatever, and there'd be an audience behind a paid wall or whatever, and the audience would be in on it, and somebody would control the Zoom, so you'd see the audience chuckling along, and that was about as good as you could do. Like, there was all sorts of connotations of it and just permutations how they were trying to do it, like pre-record it, have a host pop up and go, so coming up next is John Sharpson, and then you're standing in your sitting room going, how are you? Anyway, and it just, your soul just died a little inside. And then stand-up is one of those few things that just cannot be recreated in a remote format. You know what I mean? You just can't. That's why podcasting has gone through the roof. Like, you know what I mean? This is, the numbers have jumped exponentially, like, as a result. Because, people are just going, well, I've nothing else to be doing. Now, there's hosting. There's hosting games, because people, I've done this thing, and I was talking about it on the podcast, that just joined up with a company that have been running it a while, and they're with people, these Zoom parties that people are having. Yes. And kind of going, Jesus, how do I avoid this? Well, it's because the person that, the quiz master is normally not somebody who performs a lot or hosts anything. So this is where they're using comedians to host.
Right.
And it becomes a much bigger affair. There's a tech person then handling screen shares and stuff like that. So it's a bit better, you know what I mean? And it does scratch the itch a bit, but it's not the real thing. Like, no. There was during the lift of lockdown, I must have done a dozen gigs, I was probably the busiest in the country. But even at that, and they were like, they had to be at a certain distance, seats had to be a certain distance apart. Again, you kind of want people bunched in and whatnot, but they were grand. But no, it wasn't operating the same way at all, like.
So for stand-up comedy, like, being there and the live aspect, it must be massive then.
Oh yeah, like there's absolutely no comparison. Like the very last one I did before this lockdown came in was in Galway, and it's the Roisin Dove. It's an amazing venue anyway. And while people were socially distant and stuff, and they had bought their tables and stuff like that, it was just right. And it was about 98% of the way there.
Right. Okay.
It was about there, all for a handful of reasons. One, I played there so often, and I'd have a good old following there. And fucking, it was just so lovely. And we knew the door was slamming on us in a couple hours' time. Literally, it was that night lockdown was coming.
Yeah.
And we all knew it. And it was almost a kind of a fucking sad kind of, pints with the boys when you know they're hooking off to Boston or something like it. That's nearly what it was like. And you're going, this is a great session, lads.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying these pints.
Yeah. And that's what it was. It was like, I was saying, pull up a stool. Before I knew it, I'd done well over an hour on stage. Like, it was like, right, so I suppose I better go. And it was just.
But I don't want to.
It was just, yeah. And the people that were in there were our stand-up fans, so they were going, So I've done a couple of different things. Like I had a game show as well, and just the alignment of actually creating the content for it was just tricky. Now, of a bunch. I am going to start it back up again. It was foul-mouthed, like it was Buckshot sideshow, and there's comedians, and you'll have seen like this was not reinventing the wheel, but we weren't using Zoom. We were using actually Skype, which is much more malleable when it comes to dropping in things. And Gordo Rochford, those conspiracy guys, was actually doing all the tech behind. So he was dropping in all the media. He was dropping in people's names, moving things around, and it looked well. And it was 4 comedians, 2 teams, and me, and it just the abuse. It was just us abusing each other like to high heaven. Like it was completely unsellable. You could not sell it to any. You could, like, if as absolute as it was. No, there was just too much swearing. There was too foul. But
that's the beauty of it, because you have a platform where you can just do that. Like
and it was healthy. You could see lads going, "Oh, thank God for that." I got to tell a few jokes, got to have a bit of crack, and you could see it, like, because they genuinely getting it off their chest. Because normally that's what we do backstage, is you're giving each other serious amounts of shit. And there was a moment, it was like, I'll see you later, lads. Look, see you next week. Look, I love you. You must be missing the pints, though. You were always a great man for going out and taking great pictures of a lovely pint. You were always looked like.
I love a lovely pint.
A lovely pint.
Yeah, it's just where it's a little bit chilled on the outside. Nice pint of Guinness now. And of course, my favourite pub, the Gravediggers, they didn't even open during that period of between lockdown 1 and lockdown 2 when pubs were allowed.
Yeah,
they were just like, look, lads, we're gonna take a stand and just say we don't think it's safe for you to be in the club. And everybody went, no, just let us in. We'll stay away from each other. We wouldn't, but they were kind of, and you kind of have to admire them for that as well. But
where's the Gravediggers again? I've seen it
beside Glasnevin Cemetery.
Yes.
So it's right next door.
What else would it be?
Exactly. You know what I mean? So there's all sorts of stories that they'd be knocking on the walls and an L point to come out through the hatch when they were digging the graves and all this.
Yeah, because I think if I ever had a pub, but that's the kind of name I would give it. Like, there was one in Cork we used to drink it called the Morgue, because there was literally a morgue there at one stage. Like, but
yeah,
and it was a pub that did quite well, actually. Didn't put anybody off.
Like, straight away you'd be like, there must be no crack in that place.
yeah, and it absolutely was serious crack. Like, it was fucking deadly.
But funny enough, I thought I'd miss going out and having the crack a lot more than I actually did, because everybody's out walking, everybody's out going for coffees, and like through the winter would be off season for hurling anyway. But I'm still very fit, because up in the house we bought a load of gym equipment and everybody's just hitting it hard and having the crack with it. Like, so I don't miss it as much as I thought I would. Having said that, I wouldn't mind having points.
Yeah, I know. I don't miss it a bit. No. That's what you keep on telling you.
I'm fine. Please, I'm fine.
The audio listeners, there's John's eyes are actually streaming with tears right now. Yeah.
I have a question. Are you doing panto?
No, not doing panto this year.
Because I was going to say, I don't know. Like, I wonder how it's going to work, or if it's going to work.
The option was there. To do it, but we had a discussion, myself and the boss man, and it wasn't going to work for me. Not the way it was going to. It had to happen. It had to happen. There was going to have to be an isolation bubble of all cast and crew for 3 to 4 weeks.
Can you imagine the chaos?
Yeah, no, I can, and like, for a handful of reasons. One, I'm a fucking family man now. Do you know what I mean? There's
family man.
family man. Do you know, I didn't give myself that title. It was said to me like that. I was like, well, you're a family man now. And I totally get it. I totally get it. No, I wasn't doing it anyway. Like, do you know, like it was just myself and Natasha. Yeah. You know, you go, hey, look, it's the job, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
Grand.
Yeah.
But the little fella, like, what are you going to just weird him out and rock back up in a month's time? Go, what's happening? Do you know?
Yeah.
You
With
know,
your mustache gone and your mullet gone. He'd be like,
yeah.
hey, who's this guy?
Who's this fella? Like, so no, it was just too much of a stretch. Like I wasn't going to do it. Like, so, and also, as I said, I work well when I can get out of the situation. Like, would you put me in isolation with theatre folk for 3 to 4 weeks, John?
I mean, I've seen you spending a half an hour with theatre folk and being like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine if it was like 6 weeks, you'd be just like, I'm going to kill someone.
Oh no, John, we wouldn't get to the 5th or 6th. We wouldn't get to the second week when
No.
Hour
2.
There's been a murder. There's been a murder.
There's been a murder. Which is exactly how we say it.
Yeah. Oh no, it would be all in Scottish accents for some reason. There's been a murder, but I wouldn't. I feel bad even saying that because I get on with it. I get on with all the gang, great. Like, but I haven't had to. Jesus, I don't know when I've had to do something like that before, and I genuinely don't know what way I'd be. So I just figured it's safer bet just to leave me out of it, and we're all still on good terms because like that Big Brother vibe locking in. Nah, man, I'm a long time since I was a student. You can't be fucking locking a man in his mid to late 30s inside with a bunch of youngsters. Like,
and when you do something like that anyway, you get sucked into that bubble, which is great, and that's your Christmas, and they're great people and all. But the fact that you can't leave, you're like, wow, I am trapped here.
No. And I don't have claustrophobia, but if somebody turned around to me and said, or if somebody said something ridiculous like, you can never again eat a gherkin. that
is ridiculous.
I would kill me.
Yeah.
I may never again eat one, but on my terms. On my fucking, I know, like as a stand-up too, from being years of a stand-up, you become a singular control freak. You do, like
100%.
I work fine. Yeah. Look, I love working in a team. I love having the crack working in a team, but you become very conscious of your own, what you're up to. Yes. But if you're being told you can't go outside the fucking door, sorry, you're not going outside the door because there's 17 other people reliant on you not going outside the door.
Yeah. But not only that, like there's certain people are just like, okay, like if I'm having a conversation with someone, like, and generally it was my parents when I was a teenager, like, or my girlfriend, like, where she'd be like, that's a bad idea, you shouldn't do that. I'd be like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but please just word it differently, because if you tell me not to do something, just my personality, I'm going to do it. Like, even if it is a bad idea. But if you say, what do you think? Do you think it's a good idea? And I go, I actually don't think it's a good idea. And she goes, well, there you go. Then I'm like, okay, I made that thing. But if someone tells me not to do something, instinctively, I want to do it then. I'm like, don't push the button. I'm like, it's getting pushed. That button has to be pushed now.
I'm 100% in agreement. And I've developed quite a technique because I feel I'm that way when I think somebody shouldn't do a thing where I go round the houses about it. I've developed a good old way of going, like, I've heard a handy way of going about that thing. Oh, Jesus, don't call me an expert. And I just without spelling it out. And then the person's like, yeah, I think that's, fair play to you for coming up with that. Because I know I'm exactly the same way. As soon as you're told you're not going outside the door, I'm going to burn the place down to the ground and go, well, there's no doors. Sorry. Now I've burnt the doors off. I'm sorry.
Whereas if you make it, like, if someone makes me think that it was my idea, then I'll come
all
to
day
that
long.
Myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah, my old fella had a great technique of doing it. It was the very same thing, going around the houses, and before you know it, you're going, I'm doing that thing, and you go, good man. And then I think back 2 days later, I went, that fucker, absolutely, he got me. I just heard a right good way of doing it would be, before I know it, I'm going, but it was a brilliant method. So really, I've just robbed his method. That's all I've done. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, you can apply that to parenting now as well. I'd say, like, you're never going to be like, don't do that. You'd be like, you can do it, see what happens. I wouldn't do it myself, but I mean, it's your choice. And you'd be like, oh, you know what? Maybe you're right.
I can see it. I can see it already. Like, he's got the, they talk about their, because again, I know nothing. You would know far more about children than me, because there's probably
You
about,
think that?
you've taught them at least you know people,
Sure.
you've known ones that are under the age of 25. I barely know anybody under the age of 25. Like I barely. So let alone know anything about a child. But I've seen it's funny. Like you can see that he's got that edge in him already. Like he's got that. There's a dog in him already. Because they talk about your first child that you'd be mollycoddling him, and we were kind of conscious not to mollycoddle him like that stuff. And we were going, well, we don't know. Because it's lockdown too. You can't even go and physically look at other people doing it. You're just going, well, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And he's when I say he's like, he literally picks a scrap with the dog most mornings.
Right.
So he'll take a teddy and just smash her across the face and go. And this is the nod like this. Then the dog goes right. And now he's taken to holding it in it, one arm in his mouth of the teddy. The dog holds the other in her mouth, and they actually fight each other for it. Like,
And is it out of sheer boldness now that he's doing that just to see what happens, like, or mischievousness? Like,
no, I don't. I've not seen mischief. Yeah. Oh, there's definitely boldness. Oh, there's definitely boldness. Like, he's
right.
Like he'll hold like a plate or whatever, just looking at you, and you go, the crack. You're not supposed to drop that.
Yeah.
But do what you want. And he'll just go this. And he's already, where he learned it, I don't know, but he's got this technique.
I wonder.
But he's got this technique where he'll look out the window like that and point, and you'll look back, next thing, plate's gone. And you're going, this is only a 14-month-old child. Like, where are we going? Like, this is.
And at one stage, like one part of your brain, I'd say, it's just like, you little, I cannot believe. But the other side of your brain's going, I'm kind of proud of you.
Oh, no, I have to swallow my pride and go, come on now. But he catches, like, he's like, they can, because, and I'm guessing, like, they go, oh, they don't give kids enough credit and stuff because they can see through. I think because they have nothing else to be worrying about. They are zoned in on just your behavior and their behavior. Everything else, they don't know anything about the weather. They don't know anything about the news. They know nothing about fashion. They know nothing. So they just have this one track, and they're fucking ninjas at that level, I think.
Yeah.
Because you can see, and every so often he'll throw you a look. And I've talked about this before. It's a look that I don't think even I have, or my grandfather still has it. His great grandfather, 99 years of age, and he's a lovely man, but he's a look that will stop your heart.
Really,
like,
yeah.
Just, would you fucking do that? Would you? And it's that, oh, Jesus, like a boss would look at you.
You feel it right here, like, yeah.
Oh. And you go home and you think about it, after that look. And
you can't teach that.
No, he has it. He has it already. And he had it like at 6 months. He shot me a look one day as much as to say, you fuck on yourself, will you? And you go, oh, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Soul.
So that's been very interesting for us anyway. An interesting distraction is just learning what a child growing into a person is. Like, oh, right, so this is how it happens. I see.
I tell you, I'd say it's great for gathering material for stand-up.
Yeah, I'm careful not too much, because God, that's a road well fucking driven. You know what I mean? You don't want to be that guy going, so here's the load of baby material. And if they're out on a Saturday night or a Friday night, a lot of the audience does not have a child. They sure as shit don't want to hear about having a child, so you need to, but I definitely have, I've used, there's bits where I'm talking from their point of view where I still don't know what's going on. And I think that eases people in. They're like, oh, good, right. He's not about to tell us, nobody wants to hear about changing nappies. Nobody, no matter how funny you think you can make it, nobody wants to hear about that. Nobody wants to hear about that. The young fella who has nap, he doesn't want to hear about it. Do you know what I mean?
And chances are it's been done as well, whatever you're going to come up with, and however funny you're going
to guaranteed it's been done. So there isn't an awful lot. I've gotten maybe 25 minutes out of it, and I think that's all we're going to do.
That's solid though.
Yeah. There's a couple of good bits post pregnancy even where I'm going, where I know people haven't gone down this road. It's a unique kind of a story, all right, but
yes, yeah.
Steer clear, man. Steer clear. It's the Reiner, Joe. Like, and I know comedians don't even think. Some comedians go, all right, well, this is my life, and I'm going to. And you're like, okay, but watch people just go into themselves in the audience when you start into this, like,
Yeah. Take out the phones and just have a little check there.
Yeah, exactly. So come here, what's Christmas going to be like with the Sharpsons? What way would you eat?
Good. It's a good question. Like, obviously restrictions are being lifted. So, do you know what's funny actually? Because like my three brothers, like there's four of us, and we've all kind of, my youngest brother's at home, but the rest of us are all moved out. So we were like, government are lifting restrictions, like happy days, 3 households, not a bother. And then we're like, Jesus, technically, I suppose technically the immediate family can come, but like no cousins, no relatives, no aunties. And even then people are probably going to be sketchy, but I think it's one of those things where people are just going to be like, it's Christmas, you need to live your lives a little bit, and we'll just do lockdown again in January for it. So I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder what many people just eating out in the backyard. Just
yeah, exactly. Putting up those like wooden lats and making like a kind of a gazebo thing. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a. I know. Sure, we don't know what's going on either. Like, because I would imagine what your house was like any other year. From the brief evening I was there, like I just imagined the Sharpson household come Christmas is rocking around. They just take the front door off the hinges because there's going to be that busy. Like just
yeah, and there's cousins and relatives and neighbours will call in, and but like there's no structure either. Like so, like some years you might our cousins generally call over, and my auntie doesn't live too far either, so she'll call down. We used to all go up to my granny's house and stuff like that. But apart from that, like there's zero structure now. So my auntie would still probably come down for dinner. Don't know if the cousins are going to come over because of COVID. Like so. But then you'll have neighbours calling in and standing out in the front garden, and they'll be like Christmas is deadly. I love it. But like, yeah, I love Christmas anyway, so I'm always going. And it's kind of nice not having Panto this year, just because I'm going to actually unwind towards the end of the year. Because you know as well as I do, when you come home from Panto, you are a shell of a man on Christmas Eve.
You're good for nothing.
You're good for nothing. I lost so much weight. It's Jesus. Like my mom would be like, "Oh my God, get in here and have some food. Look at the state." Like, someone stole my shoes, or so. Like it's different level. Like.
Just shitty makeup still on you, like
exactly, from like nights before, like, and you got one eyebrow up here, and there's like lipstick here, but it came from a man who's a good friend of yours, so there's no issues. Yeah, it's just mad. It's fantastic. God, I miss it.
Yeah, that's what. Well, to be fair, that is one good thing. I know poor old Dale rang me. He didn't know that I wasn't doing it. He's like, "Will I pick you up? Are you down tip or where are you?"
Yeah.
No, man. I was trying to contact you the last couple of days. I'm not doing it. Fuck off. Come on. You know, Cronin now, pure over the top, like. Here, come on.
What?
I was hoping,
man, you have to.
That's a really good impression of him, actually. You nailed that. That's absolutely.
But it's not him even being dramatic. He's genuinely not upset that you're not doing it. Like, you know,
in that moment, he's genuinely that. Yeah, because you see, all it was with him was he wanted to start wrestling and fighting again, like, and stuff, you know, because we had our old wrestling matches. Like, I would do, why would you want to do that? Just, you know, I thought I'd be wrestling you and having a good old crack. Like, you're getting older. I get you. I says, well, during lockdown, I've gone strong as a bull. I'm probably twice as strong as when you saw it last night. Bollocks, right? So fair enough. But it was the cooking. That's all he wanted was my cooking.
Is that so? Yeah.
Yeah, that's all he wanted was cooking. Do you know the way you're kind of good with cooking? I says, because I know what salt is and how to use. Well, yeah, all that too. Yeah.
You know that cheese isn't a sauce. You won't mind me saying that, then.
No, he won't. He won't. This is the man who spent the first 19 years of his life just eating cheese pizza. Until he'd never experienced soy sauce until Richie Hayes' mother introduced it to him one evening. He went, "This might be the greatest stuff of all time. It actually flavors food. Food tastes even better." I was like, "Yeah, that's how seasoning works."
That's what it's for.
You didn't. So did you get any hurling in this week or in this year?
Yeah, we did. We did kind of a half season. It was actually, I actually enjoyed the format. It was like we had one league game and then COVID hit, and that was that. Like, league was gone. So we championship, 4 group games, and then quarterfinals and semi-finals, and it was just straight knockout. So in the space of about 6 weeks, I'd say it was done and dusted. But it was and there was no promotion or relegation, so it was a funny out year anyway. We got to the semi-final, should have done a lot better. We got bet by 10 points by a team who actually went on to win it. They were very strong, but we didn't hurt particularly well this year. But because we're looking to hit the ground running as soon as possible. Do you know what I mean? For next season, even though technically it would be off season now, you know.
And when you go back training, then if that's the case, when are you allowed to go back training?
That's the thing. They literally like, lads, be ready, because when we're allowed to go back training, we're going to go back training. You know?
Yeah.
Christmas Eve.
I saw you were had you Richie Hogan on the show a couple of weeks ago? Or
Richie, I live with Richie.
You live with Richie?
Yeah, in that gap.
Right.
Yeah.
Richie, yeah. Jesus.
So it was sports week, and they were like, oh, if only we could get kind of, because obviously with COVID as well, it's hard to do. So they were like, if only we could get someone in the media, like someone who's good at sports. I was like, yeah, if only I live with Kilkenny superstar Richie Hogan. And like half of them were like, who? And then Ray was like, no way, that's a great idea. I was like, brilliant. So we asked Richie in fair play to him. He was like, yeah, absolutely, let's do that. But actually, I had a gas moment with Richie before the show, because he was just like, so what exactly are we going to be doing? I was like, well, because we live together, we can actually be poking and messing around and stuff. He was like, cool. And I'll just ask you a lot of questions. And he goes, do kids ever come up and be like, you're famous, and they think you're famous? And be like, yeah, be walking the dog, and they'd be like, this kind of stuff, like, and they'd be last. And then he was like, do they ever ask you, are you rich? I was like, yeah, like kids just think because you're on telly you are rich. And then Richie goes, do they ever ask, do you live in a mansion? And I was like, yeah, they do. They just assume that you're a superstar if you're on telly. And Richie we were looking around the living room, and he just goes, can you imagine what they'd say if they saw our guys? The two of us living in, and the two
one of the boys falls through the floor.
Exactly, yeah, as like the bath falls, like. But he was deadly. It was great to have him on the show. And then shortly after we had him on the show, we went out and had a storm of a game in the Leinster final, basically won it for Kilkenny. So I was like, well, we need to bump that episode up. He's relevant. Do it.
Yeah, because I noticed he was so often you'll see GAH stars as wooden as their hurleys, just standing there going, yeah, well, you just. But I noticed he has a bit of flair, but there was seemed to be comfort. I was like, I realize now it makes perfect sense. You were obviously he was very comfortable with you. You know that kind of way, because often GA stars, God bless them, they'd be wooden as hell, but no, he was
exactly, and probably so careful about what they say, because so many kids look up to them and stuff. Whereas Richie was just like, no, I'm going to keep this simple because I played with you, John, and yeah, we're going to keep it. And I was like, what are we going to say there? Like, he's like, no, we'll just start, that kind of crack, like, which
perfect.
Is great.
Yeah. I met his uncle, Richie Hogan.
No way.
Yeah, he's actually working on. I was just chatting with him the other day over a fence. He's working on he was roofing. He's a roofer.
All right.
He was roofing a house. I was just chatting about hurling or whatever. Turns out I will say, rather quickly in the conversation, he got in the fact that he was called Richie Hogan too, and that he had won a minor and what else? I don't know what other medal he won. He won a minor anyway for Kilkenny. He went, oh, and I'm Richie Hogan's uncle. But like when he started to explain that, well, and my mother is, DJ Carey's, and I was like, oh gee, like this ridiculously oh my God, it was like, nepotism 101. It's like, oh, I see. But at least when you can back it up, there's no, but Jesus, the hurling at the weekend, something else.
Stop. Unbelievable.
Yeah, regardless of your ties to Kilkenny, like you had to be shouting for Waterford, like.
I was obviously shouting for Kilkenny because I knew he'd be in the house after them. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't be watching him, begrudging him and saying, no, I hope Richie misses this ball now. Because Waterford, you know what I mean? I was like, come on. I said that my dad used to live in Waterford, and he was like, I really, really want to be up for Kilkenny, and I think Richie's great, but come on today. This kind of. But the hurling has been like unbelievable this year.
The standard.
And the football.
The standard of the football. Like, well, I mean, Tipperary got beaten or whatever by Galway, but our footballers are like, what? Now
where did this come from?
We're into and it's kind of big in South Tipperary. I played it, but still, all of Tipperary was a hurling county when you support. So we're all kind of looking at each other, going, I suppose it's football now, is it? Right, fair enough.
And the year that's in it as well, like the same four teams in the semi-final as was 100 years ago for Bloody Sunday.
Can you imagine it? And can you imagine if Tipperary, what odds would you have gotten that last year?
Yeah,
that
exactly,
Tipperary and Dublin at least were going to be in the semi-finals,
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if they both made it to the final.
I'd love to throw a fiver on Tipperary. I'd say you get obscene odds still now at this stage, would you?
Yeah, of course you would. I mean, Jesus. I mean, they're playing good football, but even no matter. I mean, Mayo, God bless us, poor old Mayo. They've a fair old wardrobe full of bridesmaids dresses there now. In fairness,
Yeah, Jesus. Okay, it could always be worse, couldn't it?
Can you imagine if Tipperary beat Mayo? Can you imagine being Mayo? Like, as it was described to me the other day, he went, and this is by a tip fella, he went, that's a scandal town. I don't think we should beat him. I don't think, even if we could, I don't think we should, in all fairness. To be like,
you know, a couple of points up, just take the foot off the gas. Like,
yeah, come on. Like, I mean, to be, as the man described, genuinely went to be like stealing an ugly fella's girlfriend, wouldn't it? Do you know, after he spent ages looking for a girlfriend, he finally gets one, then you just go rob her.
Jeez, yeah. And sure, look, the curse is still alive and well, so stranger things have happened.
Have you still got the van, the camper van?
Do you know what? I was actually looking at camper van conversions today and looking out in my own van, because I do have it and I want to get away with it, get away in it before Christmas. But again, it'll depend on restrictions. So it's still ticking away nicely, but I've got a double bed. It's turned into a storage for the winter because I'm not using it as much. Do you know what I mean? Obviously with COVID.
Yeah, but what are you thinking? Are you thinking of modifying the inside of? We're going West Coast Customs, like.
Like him, my ride, like I'm gonna get Exhibit out here so he can like. We heard you like water, so we gave you a jacuzzi. I'd be like, thanks, Exhibit, deadly.
What am I gonna do with this fucking thing? And it's definitely gonna get robbed. Keep this clean. I love that the cars that they had on West Coast Customs. Your mom was like, "We put 125 grand's worth of shocks into your car." He's like, well, that is going to get robbed the second I drive outside the building. Exactly.
I'm going back to Philadelphia now, and I might as well just get out of the car now. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to do the interior a little bit, mix it up. There's 4 beds in the camper. I've never used all 4, as in there's never been 2 of us in the double bed and 2 in the bunk beds either. So I'm thinking maybe get rid of the bunk beds, maybe get rid of one of them, just have storage, put in a eco shower or something like that. I don't know. I'm just messing with ideas because I'm bored, I suppose.
No, in all fairness, like, I mean, when you do start thinking about, like, even herself was talking about getting a fold-out couch just in case, and you go, well, who's calling? Who's coming over?
Yeah.
Like, you know? So in that instance, absolutely, I would love a project like that. I'd love a crack at that. Like a few bits and pieces I did over the summer. All right, they were a bit of crack, like, but I'd love a right project like that where it's yours to make balls of. You know, and there's so many bits out there. Like when you get deep into it, I've met people who are deep into the camping world, their own conversions. Like
they're unreal. And do you know what I love about a camp? Like you can be parked on the side of the road in your camper, right? And if there's other campers there, any time, day or night, you'll just knock off. Hello, how are you? I like what you've done. Can I take a look? Yeah. So, and they'll bring in and they'll show you exactly what they did. And it's just the done thing. Like we've been in campsites where people are just like, where did you get this? God, actually, did I ever tell you a story about when we were going down to Clare and we stopped off in like Obama Plaza or something like that? It was like this. It's like, so I was driving along in the van, and as we were pulling in, right, this fella's on a picnic table with his family, just eating the abracadabra or the Supermax or whatever, and he's literally following the van like this as I'm driving it, right? So I was just like, what is your man looking at? So pulled in, reversed her up. By the time we parked it, he was at the window, right? So I was like, wound it down. I was like, what's up? He was like, how's it going? I was like, good, yeah. Are we allowed to park here? Like, I thought he worked there or something. Like, he was just like, I used to own this van. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I used to own this van. I saw when I was coming in. I was like, come on in, take a look. And he had a baby, so he was just like, it was kind of half done, and he sold it on. He was like, I sold it to a fella called Derek down in Roscommon. I was like, that's why I bought it off. He was like, he's a lunatic. I said, oh no, he's deadly, he's great. Like, he was showing. So he came in and he's just like, oh, I love what you've done with it now and all this. So like, that's literally the 3 owners. He bought it new, started doing it up, sold it to Derek, and then Derek sold it to me a few years later. It's just like, that's the history of the van, and we've met everybody who's ever owned it. It's nuts.
And if Barack Obama hadn't come to Ireland, that meeting may have never happened.
God bless you, Obama.
Yeah, fucking hell, we'll jump all over. I still people get a novelty out of the notion of pulling into a petrol station. Like, wow, of all the things a man could have dedicated to him, like when they rang him and said, listen, the most popular thing in the country that you visited is a really successful petrol station.
Yeah, but how was it really? Like, what, Supermax? Whopper, okay, we're having chicken and chips again. Like, we might have put something nice in it. I don't know, a Cahnnel tie or a chopped to give it a bit of class, or I don't know. It's just like I can't imagine like Obama going in. He was like, yeah, can I get those taco fries with the extra chili sauce? You know what I mean? He needs something a little bit classy.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, well, you see, your man, Mr. Supermax, I think, owns all those petrol stations, because there's another one outside Galway. It's a plaza, and there's another one outside Tipperary. It's a plaza as well. Like,
yeah.
They just haven't found a president to fucking tag onto it just yet. Like, you know,
Biden Plaza now. watch this space.
Oh, you be guaranteed. Like what is going to be the move there? Because the who are like Biden, it's straight out the gate. You're going Joe Biden. He's claiming to be of Irish descent. Like Obama was going, huh? You'd be guaranteed when they went. Turns out some cute whore called Ollie. I don't know what his name is. Ollie something or other from Ollie Hayes was his name. He's a bar in, and he basically his family looked it up and went, I think we might be somehow. Let's ring the White House and see what happens. Can you imagine that call to Obama when you went, what?
I'm like, oh, sorry, who is this? He's like, he's a relation of ours. Is he? John Deere in them.
Can you imagine it? Like just, and him going, go on, so I'll take the call. Go on.
Yeah, he's like,
you know who you're onto here now. I'm Barack Obama. And we're going, okay.
Barack Obama.
Go on, let's hear this one. And even he must have, out of the crack, he must have went, you cheeky whores, by making that kid go on.
You know what? Yeah, okay, I'm Irish. I've decided. It's like, Barack, you.
Go on, because Joe for sure, I'd say half of Mayo is going to open up a pet with Joe Dedicate. There'll be Joe headstones, there'll be Joe trailers, name it. There'll be Joe Biden stuff every which way.
Is that where he hails from now, Mayo, is it?
Mayo, yeah. He did great. Yeah, I know. He might. Yeah, I don't want to break Joe's heart.
How the weekend goes.
Yeah, because he's all out Irish. Because I remember the BBC were trying to stop him recently, going through somewhere. They were like, Joe, work for the BBC. He went, BBC. I'm Irish. You're like, Jesus, Joe.
I was like, go on, Joe.
Jesus, Joe. Steady on. The war is over, Joe. Jesus.
Too much. And then he said something about the orange men as well, did he?
He did, yeah.
Nobody's allowed in here if they're wearing orange. I was like, that's still not that funny. Like,
yeah, Jesus, Joe. Fucking hell, Joe. I know you're about 90, like, but Jesus, tone it down. Yeah. Tell me this, and because the time I did, you had what was the name of your? Was it Rufus show?
Sharoof, yes.
Sharoof, yes.
Yeah.
Has your image of your puppet, I don't want to give the game away, but John had a puppet co-star on the Sharoof show. Have they stolen his image for the washing of the hands?
No, right? Interesting one, right? Because it's the monster has the same name, right?
Rufus.
And is the bleeding head off the puppet, right?
So
I was like, the only saving grace, I was say, I don't know if that, but the only thing is, technically, that Rufus was bought in New York, so there could be multiple Rufuses for all I know. Do you know? So technically, I don't own his image either.
Okay, okay. He was Rufus before you ever bought him. It was called Rufus, was it?
No, he wasn't. We gave him the name Rufus, and he does look exactly the same as the board be Rufus the Monster. So whether they took it from us remains to be seen, but there's nothing I can do about it because we just bought him. Like,
yeah, you didn't make him from scratch. Like,
exactly.
I get you. Yeah,
if he was my concept, then I'd have it. I probably wouldn't have an issue with it anyway. If kids are watching their hands because Rufus says so, fair enough.
Yeah, but throw a guy a bone.
I'm not thinking about the millions and millions and millions of euro that I missed out on.
For anybody wondering what the fuck we're on about, there's the ad on television at the minute. See, easy knowing John knows what side his bread is buttered on when it comes to RTE. Like, it's going, no guys, no big deal. Work away with anything I've ever come up with. Work away. Yeah, no, it's great. I don't want a penny. But the ad is of it's an animation, but it's of it. Straight away, because even Natasha copped. She went, 1 second. Was your mate John Sharpson? Wasn't his puppet called Rufus? I was, you're right. Next thing, I went, rewind that, bring that back a small bit there.
Yeah, let me see that.
I says, Sharpie, the cute whore is making a fortune on the side here, just for, and then clearly not. Because I've had people chat me about things going, hey, do you realize they're using, like, bizarrely? Did you ever see the picture? I think I put it up on Instagram. It was used, my image was, I'd say, well, I don't know, it wasn't my image, but it was obviously a generated image for computer games to not be anybody. But in Call of Duty, the last Call of Duty.
Yes, I remember you put this up.
It's not really.
And I was like, that's awesome. Tom's in a game.
No, Tom's not in a game, but Tom's face is on some fella in a game.
I see.
Yeah.
So this is a similar, and not only that, right? I actually did an ad for Board B for the same project. So I put up like on my Instagram, it was just like, sing the song with Rufus the Monster, and everybody's like, oh my god, that's great, Rufus is doing this, this, and this. I was like, it's not my Rufus. I know we're working together, and it looks like it is, but it's not my Rufus. But look, like you said, I know who put his map red.
Well, I'm still
Playing
going
the
Call of
game.
Duty, you shower of whores. Where's my few pound for my face?
Yeah.
Turned up. Apparently, I turned up in Grand Theft Auto as well. I don't. Yeah, I think
Because
when I
you
put up that
individual.
one, when I put up that picture, and I went, oh, maybe not. He's chiseled looking. Maybe it's a bit too much. But 2 or 3 people, and it was over at mate's house. He went, oh Jesus, yeah, I meant to show you. And the wife went, have you shown him yet? And they put it up on the TV. I went, oh Jesus.
You're like, what's happening? What am I doing?
Yeah. And even like the little fella was there with us, and even he was pointing, going, "What? No, what?"
Yeah.
And then when I put up, this is, Call of Duty, when they steal your face, whatever, and somebody went, "You think that's bad? We've all seen. Have you seen this?" And loads of people have. Well, apparently there was a few people have said this, gone, "Tell my man his face end up in the cover of Call of Duty or what is it, Grand Theft Auto?"
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet. Put that one up on.
I did. I put it up on Instagram, and you'll see it. It's a dude. It is even way more me, way more me. And it's an animated version, but it is definitely. I've got a bit of a gut in it. Which, to be fair, prior to lockdown, I've gotten into great Nick. But prior to lockdown, I was me. So again, as I said to a chap I know, he works for a big enough gaming crowd over in Canada, and he was going. Yeah, there's a possibility they literally look for white, fair male, blue-eyed, and just because you've given away your face. You've given away your face because of social media. Your face is there for the taking. So it's probably 2 or 3 faces melted in, but your face is the one that was probably come out dominant.
Well.
So, but you're not getting a penny, basically is what he said to me. There you are.
And nor should you try.
But wasting my time. Absolutely wasting my time.
My brother Donald appeared in a comic, which was bizarre.
What?
And I get the exact same thing. It was just like someone tweeted me. I was just like, will you show your brother this? I was like, oh my God. Like the head off.
What comic? Like,
I can't even remember. It's where would I find it? I either put it up on Twitter or Instagram or tag Donald in it or something. But I'll get it for you. I'll send it on to you. It's uncanny. Like, because Donald looks individual as well. Like he doesn't have a generic face. I kind of have a bit of a generic face, so it could be me or it could be other lads who are as gorgeous as Cristiano Ronaldo. So I don't know. But Donald looks like he's got, he's sallow, but he's got blue eyes. Like I was just like, this is 100% on. Unbelievable.
Wow.
What do you do? Your face or mine?
Yeah. This is it. Did you find before other than you've been busy throughout, but it looks things, and obviously hurling and everything else, you've been keeping yourself in shape. Did you develop anything during lockdown? Like, did you get better at cooking or anything like that?
Not really, because our oven broke.
Did you get really good at cooking?
Yeah. Did I develop? No, I was working flat out. It was like the apocalypse was a bit of a break for me, so I didn't have time. I didn't have time to do anything else. We're in decent shape because again, there's 5 lads in the gaff, and we all just like bought a bench and heavy L weights, and we do a program and stuff like that. And then I was doing the 5Ks, but then I decided I hated running, so I stopped doing that. But I haven't learned a thing.
Great. You haven't grown whatsoever. I'm
knackered. That's the only thing now, because I know it's the same in school. Like if you're working hard for the year, and then comes to midterm, your body goes poof, sick. Yeah. Sort yourself out. Yeah. So you're lying there and goes, it's that I'm at that stage where my knees and my legs are getting cold, and I always know that I'm coming down with something because I'm just exhausted. And that's why I trip over my words a lot the last few days.
And what's before I let you go, what's next on the agenda then for Son of the Knife?
Who knows? I'm going to take Christmas quite handy, I think. I'm not going to do too much. I'm doing 1 or 2 little projects, but I'm going to ease off a little bit. If the after school comes back in January, that would be me relatively sorted for a good long while. So I'm praying for that, and hopefully it's well received as the homeschool hub. And then when I'm not doing that, I'll be in school, I'd say. So
good on you. And is the presenting is still, obviously you'll still be pushing ideas for the likes of that. As per you're allowed out, I suppose.
Yeah, like we myself and Clara just did a thing for the Galway Science Festival. Then Science Blast is coming back next year, so we're booked in for that already. Trying to think, there's 2 other things that I'm doing I'm doing something with the GAA then in January as well. So just filling in the diary and just trying to make the usual. Go back to the way things were, just
trying to
chopping
fill
it
in the
down.
diary.
Yeah, and when the work comes, take it. Like,
yeah, and of course you're still doing the Try channel, or at least Try videos anyway. For you were doing what was the chap with the long hair?
The leather jacket guy. Yeah,
leather jacket guy.
What a champ! Like an enigma of a man. I love hanging around with him just because every time you just come out with something, I'm like, what is going on in that head? I just don't get it. Like, but super intelligent. Like he's just a mystery. I love him. He's deadly. But I kind of had to pull back on that. Number one, I was too busy. I just did not have time to go in and write myself off for 2 days. But also I was kind of thinking, okay, there's a few things here on kids TV and this don't mix, and it's just a little bit like, and especially because if we're sampling drinks on his channel, you get Larry, and then you wake up the next day and go, am I round? What did I say? You know what I mean? There's that kind of, it's a little bit. So initially, because it was just busy, I was just too busy. I had to just pull back a little bit. But if I get time in the new year, I'll probably go back and do a few episodes with him.
Yeah, you can see how the crossover, and I mean, it is just kids on YouTube. It is just children on YouTube. So 1 minute they're watching. So Accorda. And then all of a sudden you're just ramming fucking Liechtenstein beer into yourself.
Yeah, it doesn't create the best image. So now, having said that, like I'll let you go on this story because I know you're trying to go. But when I did an impressions video years ago that went viral, right? And I was still teaching full time. I hadn't gone into anything else, and I dropped an F-bomb in it, right? And because it was meant to be just for the lads, and then I went for it. But I went to my vice principal straight away, and I was like, look, just in case this comes back to bite me, I just want you to hear from me first. There's a video going around of me doing impressions. It's on Joe.ie. I dropped an F-bomb. I'm really sorry. And she just kind of said, like, what you do in your personal time is your business, within reason. So she was like, if anyone was to come to me with a complaint, I'd be more saying, I would be careful what your children are watching. You need to monitor that more rather than what a member of my staff is doing. So I was like, yeah, that's a very sensible way of looking at it. So I kind of take that with a pinch of salt as well, you know.
Yeah, I suppose so. As a real world analogy would be, stop your kids looking in my teacher's windows at home. You know, in a way, like allow them to do with it. What are your kids doing following my teachers? Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
They're weird. You know.
Yeah. You're the problem here, not him.
Exactly. Great. I love the way. Yeah, I love the authority of a teacher who could turn all that around and go, I think, and they walk back out going, I think we're doing something wrong. Oh my.
Yeah.
So John,
where do is work together for your child?
Where's the best place to people? Where are you most active? Where do people follow you?
I'm a bit of an Insta hun. I think I'm most active on Instagram. Facebook I keep from my friends, family, and that kind of stuff. So you can add me, but I probably won't accept it unless I know you. And then Twitter as well. I'll chime in every now and again with something hilarious.
You just want to set fire to something and back out again and go, oh, there you go. Deal with that.
Clean up my mess.
Brilliant stuff. John, son of the knife, Sharpson. This has been a pleasure, as always.
Great.
Thank you very much. Cheers,
and
dude.
We will have pints at some stage.
Oh, Nelly. I'm bringing my funnel, and I just want you to pour the first 2 down my neck, and then we can level out after that.
We'll make a game of it.
Love it. Cheers,
Can't
John.
wait. All right.